Hi, welcome to MLB Showdown Team Builder. This is If You Build It, Will They Come? This is our second part of our series. This is the opposite of what we talked about last week. Last week, we really tried to smash the cover off the ball and just shove it down other people's throats. This week we're going to try to go the opposite end of the spectrum. We're going to try to really shut people down and maybe scrape across a couple runs. So that brings me to my first question to you, Kyle, is there the talent out there to do this strategy this year? And if so, is this the best strategy to win a league type setting?
Um, you know, I think really when it comes to showdown, any strategy is going to win some games. You got to pick the strategy that's going to be the most fun for you. In my opinion, pitching wise, this is the deepest pitching class that we've ever seen before. Last year wasn't called the year of the pitcher for no reason, and this year it's even continuing because these same talents are putting up great numbers again. You got names like Justin Verlander, Roy Halladay, Clayton Kershaw, Cole Hamels. I mean, I can go on for a while. There are absolute and utter horses out there to fulfill this pitching staff and pitching line.
Absolutely. So I guess that brings us to our first question. Is top on the list is where we're actually not going to be spending points. That is the lineup. We can't win 0 to -1 yet in the game, and we're trying to come up with a way to do it for these guys. But until then, we're still going to have to put at least one run up there. So, is there any special way to do it, or do you just spend the 2,000 points and hope for the best here?
Yeah, well, if you guys do your math, 2,000 points over 8 hitters averages out to about 250 points a person. You're just not going to be able to really do anything great unless you do one or two things. You can either ping all the way through the lineup, which is about that 250 point average, 1 through 8, and you're not really going to have any superstars, but you're not really going to have any duds. Or you can really load the top half of your lineup. Couple highlights that we wanted to tell you about. The most important thing for this year is whether you're pinging or whether you're loading the top half of your lineup, your runs have to come from the first base position. First base will be the most vital position for you to get runs from, and particularly power. And why is that, Colby?
First base is actually the least important position defensively. You can only have a +1, and you can have 13 other defensive points added onto your defense from other infield positions. So you can really mask a bad first baseman, and a good first baseman doesn't even really help you that much, not nearly as much as a good shortstop will or a good second baseman will. And also, these are the cheapest cards. You're going to be able to get the best charts and also the best on bases for the cheapest here. They're a hair slow, so but you live with that. You don't need to have the whole position be fast. You just need one good player to be average speed if that's what you really want. Players I would highlight here. If you're going to be pinging, then you're going to be looking at somebody lower on, maybe a James Loney at the lowest end of this here, absolutely lowest end. And you can go all the way up to a 300-point Ryan Howard if you don't want to have too much of a difference. But if you're going to be hitting for a little bit more power, then the lower end of a top-heavy lineup is going to have Jim Thome batting fourth usually. He's got a horrendous speed. He's going to ground into a lot of double plays, but as an 8-16 to 20, he's going to hit a lot of home runs.
Yeah, I remember back in the 2000-2001 days, I was torched by an 8-16 to 20 a couple times. So don't scoff at that. A man by the name of Mike Piazza, if you remember him, back from those days. I mean, he couldn't throw anybody out, but boy, that 8-16 to 20 chart, he could really hit some homers. So don't be afraid of that. Don't be afraid of a Jim Thome here. The next thing we wanted to talk about in regards to first baseman is the power is going to be relative to the punt. You guys know that we talk a lot about, punting here on this and on the MLB Showdown blog. So the more that you punt on a player, the higher you can reach for someone. Say a Prince Fielder who's a 10-18 to 20 for 470 points, but you're not going to be able to get into the 500-point range here, will you?
I just cannot see it happening, and if he is, he's going to be just kind of a Lone Ranger out there. So Prince Fielder is a good pick at 470. He's got nice power with 10-18 to 20. He's going to hit home runs. Again, he's going to ground into double plays. That makes him cheaper, and that doesn't hurt as much as it sounds like it does. If you're going to get Prince Fielder at 470, you're looking at 3 guys under 100 points to round out the back half of that lineup. So you're going to be giving some easy chances to people. If you're going top heavy, we're looking at getting 85% of our runs primarily created from the first 4 guys of our lineup. And if we're pinging, we're looking at probably getting 60 from the first half and about 40 from the second half. Just so you guys have a little bit of an estimate of where our points and where our runs are going to be coming from. Do you have any ping players that really could stand out, knowing that ping players could really bat first or second
Yeah.
in both lineups.
Absolutely. There's a couple guys that we love in a painting lineup here. The first person we wanted to highlight is kind of a hidden gem because he's over in the utility section and people don't tend to look over there. Jamie Carroll is a dynamite player for this team. He's 210 points. He's a 9, speed B, pretty decent chart. And the beauty here is he's a great fielder. You can put him at second base as a +4 fielder, or you can put him in the shortstop hole as a +5 fielder. And I mean, he is just a Swiss Army knife of a painting lineup here. Love Jamie Carroll. Another person that we really like a lot and we've been touting is Chase Headley at third base. If you want to get him a little bit above that 250 point average, 280 points, but he does one thing very, very well, and that's get on base. 10, he walks a lot, speed B, good fielder, great solid player all the way around. And the absolute must-have for this lineup is who?
I'm going to go with Andre Ethier here. He is the pitcher perfect pinger here for 240 points. He's a speed B. He has a +2 arm out in the outfield because he won that Gold Glove. And he can bat first, he can bat second, he can bat way later in the lineup if you're really going to be pinging instead. So you can get him very early on. He has a lot of value to any pitching extreme lineup because he's so versatile. And you haven't necessarily painted yourself into that corner of I'm going to go top heavy, I'm going to ping. You could get him early on, and you still have all your options available to you.
Yeah, Andre Ethier is the staple here. So Dodgers fans rejoice, and extreme pitching fans, go ahead and grab yourself some Andre Ethier. So let's go ahead and move on to the reason why you choose this strategy. Extreme pitching. The rotation. 2,200 points for 4 guys.
Everybody and anybody is in play here. We're talking Justin Verlander, who's close to Pedro Martinez. We have Clayton Kershaw, who's got a nice big strikeout. We have Cole Hamels and that big ground ball. We have Roy Halladay and that 6'1" to 16. We have a lot of options available to us here. I think that you just get what you can, and also don't go away from the solid principles that we try to stress, and that is if you have a good infield defense, try to get more ground balls. Yep. If you have a good outfield defense, don't be afraid of big fly balls, depending on the rules of your league. They may help you more than you might think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think the big thing to do here with your starting rotation, guys, is just what Colby said. You know, you do have the points to spend here, but spend them smart. Don't just buy somebody. And I think the big thing you can do here is you can wait on pitchers. If you don't absolutely have to have a Justin Verlander, if you're not really crazy about that, there are so many good guys that you can go pick out some of those guys who you have to have in your lineup and sit back and kind of fill the pitching needs as they go. Again, I could list multiple names here for you that you can pick up way later in the draft. A Cliff Lee, a Cole Hamels.
C.J. Wilson is a 600.6. I mean, he's really a horse. He's maybe not that ace, but he's really gonna throw some good innings at you, and he's gonna really shut some people down.
What about the back end of the rotation? That's probably the only place that you're going to have to really look a little bit. If you're spending 600 plus points on your first 2 guys, you're going to have to come down to the 400 range for number 4 guy, your 4th day starter. Who do you like there?
For 400 points, just really get someone who just fits what you do because you're going to maximize that 400 points. It's really dependent. If you're looking for a big ground ball guy, then just go find that. Just scroll down and find a nice 4 or 5 with a big ground ball there. And live with that. I think Tim Lincecum's got a pretty big fly ball for a 6 who's worth a little bit less. So just kind of look into those kind of players. I'm more concerned of how I'm going to end games because I know I'm going to have 7 real good innings, maybe 8 real good innings. Out of this, how am I going to beat the stack there towards the end? Am I going to be spending the 220 points or do I not spend it? What do you think?
You got to spend 220 points. 200 is the absolute least you spend on a closer here because the guy coming in at the end of the game needs to be as good, if not better, than the guy who just came out. And that's the strategy that we're going to say here. You have 700 points. Don't be afraid to wheel them around and throw some cash up like Pac-Man Jones and get yourself a really solid closer at the back end of this game. You want to have the comfort and the peace of mind that you're closing this game out and that the guy you just took out isn't going to be biting his nails over there on the railing hoping he gets the win.
Absolutely. And for our bench, usually we just absolutely pump, but look here at finding nice pinch hitters who you can leave in the game because you're going to have some 5s maybe in your starting lineup. Maybe if you can get a 7 to upgrade it and have him in the lineup. That's not a bad thing. It doesn't sound like much of a thing, but that really can kind of change the game.
Yeah.
You're getting that 1/5 bonus. You're really going to kind of help out here.
Yeah, look at somebody like a Josh Tolley. He's a 100-point catcher. He's an 8 on base, and he's got a decent chart. So you bring him down to 20 points, and he can come in and stay in for a Henry Blanco or worse if you have someone who's a 5 to 7 on base hitter. Players like that. You guys do your homework, study your cards, find out who you love, and take all of our advice into account when you do that sort of thing. But we really appreciate you guys being here, and we hope you'll join us next week.
Yep, absolutely. We're a team builder. We're doing our vlog. We'll be here next week talking about balanced lineup, so we're not going to be in these extremes as much.
Yeah, not so much extremes. Make sure you guys check out Colby's blog. I love to read it on a regular basis. The link's down below, and don't forget to subscribe so you can receive your updates on a weekly basis and get all your Showdown strategy and draft building talk. Remember, the hashtag is
Play for the card, folks.